Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for taking out the time to be here. We are here for the session on creating a culture of empathetic counseling, snapping cocoons. And I have here with me Mrs. Kanika Sachdeva Gobi. Kanika ma'am is the Vice Principal of Delhi Public School, Rohini, with an experience of 30 years in education and education management. MPhil in English Literature from Jadavpur University, Calcutta. And she's recently been awarded the State Teacher Award for the contribution to the cause of education, especially in times of the pandemic. Congratulations, Kanika ma'am. Authored in English grammar series for class 1 to 5th, passionate about value education, mental health, and community of outreach programs for students. She has been a speaker at social education and sustainability webinars. As a physically challenged person involved and committed in the cause of abysmal and the marginalized, Kanika ma'am, thank you so much for taking out the time to be here. And over to you.
Thank you so much, Shweta, and IC3 team. I'm so glad to be here on this platform and be able to reach out to so many educators and mentors and people who can actually make a difference to this cause. Thank you so much. Before we move forward, I'd like to introduce my co-panelists, co-presenters, Mr. T.S. Ravichandran, who is a very old friend. Hi, Ravi. And so I'll just run you through because he has this, a CV which runs into 4 pages. There's so much to talk about him, but I'll just pick up a couple of things about him, which would be of interest to everybody here because it has to do with education and academics. He has actually been a practitioner of what he has been teaching. So Ravi has done commercial and research projects, and he has been with top real estate developers such as DLF and Vatica, and faculty at the esteemed institutions such as SPA and IIT Delhi. And at the moment also, Ravi is the serving faculty at the School of Planning and Architecture. What brings Ravi to this platform is actually the fact that he has created very, very inclusive spaces in all the projects that he has undertaken. And that's why I said he actually walks the talk. And thank you for being here, Ravi. And so nice of you, wonderful of you to have made time in spite of, very busy schedule and of course, being indisposed for the last 1 week. Thank you and welcome you to this panel. Next, we have Mr. Satish Kapoor. Again, I feel such a small fry when I compare, myself to these 2 gentlemen who have done so much of work in this area. And I would say Mr. Satish Kapoor's claim to fame, the biggest thing that I think, the biggest achievement, I would say, is that he conceptualized and produced the national anthem in the Indian Sign Language. And I think that is wonderful and so thoughtful. And it has, of course, and it was, the song was done by Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. So I really have no words to express the kind of work that Satish has done. And of course, apart from that, I'm sure he's going to tell us a couple of things about the causes that he's associated with, which is We Care Film Festival on disability issues, which I think is happening even at the moment, this being World Disability Day. And he also runs another organization which is called GN, and I'm sure he can share certain details about these organizations, and people who are interested to know a little more about it, you can reach out to him. Welcome you, Satish. And again, it is sheer coincidence that he has also been indisposed for the past 2 days, but thank you for being here and making it
all,
to this evening.
it's
Thank
all
you.
my pleasure. It's all my pleasure.
Thank you. So I'll begin with my presentation first. And of course, hi and good evening, good morning, good afternoon to people from all over the world, across the oceans, whoever has joined in. Welcome to this session, which talks about empathetic counseling, breaking cocoons. Now, let me begin with a real story. A candidate is called for an interview for a senior management position by a progressive boutique school. At the end of the interview, the applicant poses a question. I'm physically handicapped. I hope that's not a problem. And the school management, one of the people on the panel, responds, of course, it's a huge problem. End of story. Now, let me move to another story. And I request, Shweta, if you could play that story and then we can talk about it. It's the story of the purple pound. Play the video, please. This is the feature done by BBC.
My apology, ma'am. It's taking a couple of.
That's okay. That's the advertisement that we have to skip.
Dans une nouvelle discipline qu'on n'a jamais abordée jusqu'à-là.
It's going to run its 5 seconds now.
Yeah.
People with disabilities make up about 15% of the world's population. That's more than 1 billion people, or the population of China. 80% are of working age. But globally, only around 1/5 of disabled women and just over half of disabled men are at work. Excluding disabled people from the workforce.
There's no audio to the documentary.
Spending by disabled people is worth £249 billion a year.
Are you not getting any audio, ma'am?
It's known as
It's just coming. Okay. I think the visuals were good enough for us to figure out what it was all about.
I can play it once more, ma'am, if you wish.
That would be nice if you could do that.
people with disabilities make up about 15% of the world's population. That's more than 1 billion people, or the population of China. 80% are of working age. Globally, only around 1/5 of disabled women and just over half of disabled men are at work. Excluding disabled people from the workforce costs developing countries up to 7% of GDP. Disabled people are the fastest growing minority group. Life in the UK costs £550 more per month on average if you are disabled. But spending by disabled people is worth £249 billion a year to the UK economy. It's known as the purple pound.
Thank you, Shweta. So, so this was a factual story, unlike the first one. And it's just a fact check. Did you know that there's so much of potential in this ever-growing minority? And that's why it has been called the purple pound. Now, in the words of the Nigerian author Adichie, we often make one story become the whole story or the only story. And this is true for all walks of life, including when it comes to the people with special needs or physical disabilities. Now, here you can see the list on the slide where I mentioned the cocoons that we build around ourselves, certain preconceived notions that we have about people with disabilities. And I think I would like to add one more to this list. People with disabilities can't bear children. That's a very common perception, misconception, I would say. Right. So what happens as a consequence of this singular story is that it robs people of their individuality and dignity. And this one single perspective becomes the only story. And here, as you can see, no, the previous slide, please. I'll let you know when we have to move. Can we get back? Yeah. So now, next slide, please, Shweta. Yeah, that's it. Please stay here. So these become barriers to our empathy when it comes to counseling. Now here, the question might be that why I have picked on just physical disabilities. Well, as per the RPWD Act in India, there are 21 disabilities that have been listed where the government has made special concessions in some form or the other for these category of people. So it's a huge category, and it's not possible and to deal with all of them in such a short period. So I decided to just pick up one tiny bit from there and focus on people with students with physical disabilities. And what comes in the way of our counseling, a more empathetic counseling, is information deficit. We just saw that video. We just read those common perceptions, and insensitivity to infrastructural needs and wasted efforts at mainstreaming or normalizing. Ravi is going to talk extensively about the second point, so I'm not going to dwell on it. So as I was saying, these one single perspectives become the only story. And they stop us from really understand, comprehend, and sensitize and inform ourselves about the needs of these people. Can we move to the next slide? Now here, I'm going to tell you another story, the story of the shampoo bottle. But before I embark on another storytelling session, I would like to draw your attention to the vocabulary that we used on the basis of perceived realities. And I have a big problem with that. We often use a phrase confined to a wheelchair. And we think it's a very polite thing to say. But ask the person in the wheelchair and they would tell you that it is perhaps the most liberating tool in their life, because it gives them the great independence and freedom to move about. Now coming to the story of the shampoo bottle. Now the story is, of course, the central character of the story is the consultant for inclusive design, Sumaira Latif, who works with Procter & Gamble, and herself a visually challenged person. And in her day-to-day life, what she discovered was that while in the shower, it was difficult to reach out for the right bottle. Instead of the shampoo bottle, it was a conditioner bottle sometimes. And I think this is a lived reality for all of us. I think many of us would have experienced that with, when we have, we got soap into our eyes and we have always, kind of picked up the wrong bottle. And as she says that, who wants the family to come trooping in a private space like the bathroom? And that's how then she thought about having these tactile markings on the bottles of shampoo and conditioners. And Procter & Gamble was very supportive in doing that. And I think a lot of other organizations are doing it now. And so that's how this story began, and it continues. It's not ended. And it's so heartwarming and heart-wrenching, actually, to see that it has been wrenched out of a lived situation. The next slide, please. Shweta, the next slide, please. Now, here is a checklist that I have created that as counselors, we are best placed to assist these students in career development and planning, and identifying and exploring the options. If we read about specific disabilities, understand their specific challenges, and thereafter redesign career choices to sync with their interest and personality, refer to websites of institutions, universities, identify barrier-free campuses, courses, colleges, and then probably reflect upon, research, and then refurbish the options that we have for them. It is not only actually for children with physical disabilities, it's also for other children. I think we need our counseling to become a little more pointed in this matter. It can't be generalized. Okay, so as I said, we are in a position, an unenviable position, to actually, guide children. So only I feel we have to catch them young, as early as class 7 and 8. I would say understand their strengths, take the parents along on this journey, try some job shadowing maybe, and voila, you have delivered the beautiful butterfly. Next slide, please. In fact, there is an archipelago of options when it comes to various interests of these children. It's just that we need to research a little, we need to identify these things. For instance, an artistic child need not end up drawing pictures on a canvas that won't sell and become a sustainable option for him or her. Offer him options like an image consultant or becoming a hairstylist. Those are upcoming fields and very well paying and sustainable. You have, not everyone can be a Paralympian, right? But there are children who have the gift of the gab and interests in sports, and they can be nurtured into areas like working or opting out for areas like sports journalism or sports commentators or even speech therapists. And after all, sports injury specialists who are much in demand don't really need to hear the bones crunching. Finally, let me end with a very heart-wrenching story of Keka, a paraplegic young person with ordinary social, emotional, and sexual needs who wants to pursue a college degree. Now, her parents don't have the resources to engage a private driver for her, nor do the colleges that she knows of have toilets to suit her special needs. Her potential stands wasted, not because she's physically challenged, but because no career counselor put in enough thought for her. And of course, as a society, we have made education inaccessible to her. On that note, I just want to wind up my presentation, and I would request Ravi to take it forward and actually inform us a little more about the kind of spaces that are needed for people to access education and even higher education. And I'm sure there are people here, representatives from schools and higher education who are listening to this, and I hope this message is carried back to the management, the owners, and something is done about it. Over to you, Ravi.
How I perceive inclusivity is inclusivity for all in design interventions is not an option anymore, but it's become a necessity, and it should be in the right manner. This is regardless of being abled or disabled. This collage actually reflects various kinds of spaces and adopts design for all philosophy. That's what it should be like. And it includes population with a grocer's variety of physical and mental conditions, and includes all ages from first age to the fourth age. In this session, we shall limit our discussions to providing barrier-free ability for the ambulant challenged, especially in school campuses. The next one, please. The next one, please. No. The second one, the second slide, preceding this, the previous slide. The previous one. Yes. So, the next one, please. Yes, please stay on this. Now, wheelchair users could be temporary or with permanent disabilities. And that includes children and members of staff. Now, let's understand the various natures of spaces where design interventions need inclusivity. There are indoor spaces, which include entrance lobby, reception, classrooms, library, restrooms, toilets, laboratories, auditorium, conference hall, sports room, cafeteria, sick bay, etc. The outdoor spaces is the second category that include entrance gate, drop-offs, parking lots, sports field, sidewalks along the driveways. Circulation spaces is the third kind of space typology that includes cases, passages, corridors, and ramps. And we usually forget about something at the interfaces, which I categorize them as threshold spaces. That includes doors, doorways, walls, and driveway edge treatments. The next one, please. Thank you. We'll talk about lobbies. I'll very briefly touch base upon each kind of spaces. I might not be able to touch base on everything, but it's just a cursory look on important spaces. The arrival experiences that happens at the entrance lobby, as far as indoor spaces are concerned. Lobbies on the right-hand side, note that the table and the furniture are very incidental and not pre-planned to be positioned there. They've reduced, in such a case, it reduces the width of the doorway and hence reduces efficacy of the spatial usage. Reception desk on the right-hand side, very neatly done, beautiful material, very expensive and very plush. But what use is a plush-looking furniture item if it cannot be used by all? So the left-hand side actually supports everything. That is inclusive. The left-hand side picture. The next one, please. Now, classrooms, if you actually see, notice the desk on the right-hand side, the left-hand side of the picture. The desk admits the wheelchair between the legs of the desk, while the desks on the right-hand side picture are wheelchair unfriendly. Besides, on the right-hand side, the classroom is very congested and has no space for wheelchair to negotiate in the aisles or between the desks. What I mean by inclusivity is not a space that is provided for the ambulant challenged people with special needs in some corner of the room. No, I'm sorry, that is not inclusivity. You have to they have the right to be able to make a choice where they want to sit. So every part of the furniture, every single square inch of the room has to make has to provide an environment where they can use it completely. I mean, they should not be cordoned off in a space and we give airs to ourselves saying that, oh yes, our school is inclusive. I'm sorry, it isn't. Right, the left-hand side picture is inclusive. The right-hand side picture isn't inclusive. One in the libraries that you see, the aisles in the right-hand side picture permit wheelchair, though, but ideally the aisle should allow people to, space for people accessing books and movement. But unfortunately, you see that there is furniture there, which is plonked there, making it unable for the wheelchair to pass by. Well, the left-hand side picture does have a provision for providing access to wheelchair movement or access to books by a person sitting on a wheelchair. But again, it is not inclusive enough to permit any other user to use the AL. So this is far better than row 1 on the left-hand side. I must say it's only comparative, but the left-hand side picture also requires a little bit of more thought into designing space, the AL spaces. The next one, please. Yes, toilets. Layout in the left-hand side picture is appropriate because it gives clear clearances for movement. So that is inclusive of a drawing that is shown on the slide, which is anthropometrically completely all right for a wheelchair user. While you see on the right-hand side also, just next to that, there are spaces which are created, which have allowances for movement and people to wash, people to use the wash basins. While on the right-hand side, if the space is so narrow, it barely gives any person to stand next to the wash basin. I'm in a case where the cubicle, the person using the cubicle opens the door, will bang right at his back, and that is not merely a movement hazard, but also a safety hazard, because a person who's already bent, the child who's already bent to wash his face or anything using the wash basin might bang his head against the tap. So these are some things which need to be sensitively designed. As I always believe that detailing lies in the thought and not in the drawing. I'm an architect, but if it's in the thought, it will go onto the drawing. And if it goes onto the drawing, it will get built in that manner. Laboratories on the right-hand side are congested, leaving no room for any kind of wheelchair movement between them, while the laboratories on the left-hand side are designed to accommodate the wheelchair and to move out. The next one, please. We've discussed about indoor spaces. Now we'll come to the outdoors. If you see bus drop-offs, which is the first thing that happens when the bus gets into the campus, do we have proper bus drops or wheelchair-friendly bus stops, disabled-friendly bus stops, right? So on the left-hand side actually is the right thing to do. There are buses which in fact have a provision, have the equipment for people to get off. Ramp is usually found there. Very occasionally you find the ones with a wheelchair lift, a bus having a wheelchair lift, but it is, buses do have that as a provision at times. While you see on the right-hand side, there is absolutely no provision for in any manner for the person on a wheelchair to get onto the bus or alight it. I come to sidewalks. When we come to sidewalks on the left-hand side, it's all taken care of. All the spaces are taken care of. All the measurements and clearances for wheelchair and pedestrian movement are taken care of. While on the right-hand side, you see there is pavement, but there isn't any space for for everybody to go down that thing. You see the surface expression on the left-hand side is smooth. It's without any hindrances. While on the right, you see hindrances like a small toe wall on the planter as a planter wall. Well, it could have been, if a little thought had gone into it, it could have been designed in the way it's shown on the left-hand side. Small things, but big things to bear in mind. The next one, please. The next one, please. Parking lot. Left-hand side is an appropriate parking lot. Takes care of physically challenged parking lots and a shared space for ambulation in the middle by both users. While the right-hand side, you see there are lots of parking lots, but no provision for any wheelchair movement. Playgrounds are very similar. One must encourage the use of designing all kinds of sports fields for wheelchair users, basketball, tennis, or even for that matter, badminton for that matter. And it's very easily done. It's it's not rocket science. You just need to be mindful that while designing, the architectural design has inclusivity in it, or the interior design has inclusivity in it. Next one, please.
Ravi, can we paste this up?
Yeah, certainly. These are typical examples and situations that I found in schools and at places. Ramps, I must say, if there isn't enough space to provide a ramp, please do not go the right-hand side way. It's always better to instead use, a stair lift or something like that. Next one, please. Yeah. Wheelchair inclusive staircases. This is far better rather than providing a ramp which is hazardous. If you actually see passages, corridors, the left-hand side, the left-hand side is totally non-inclusive. It's in fact the one on the extreme right is a dark, dingy, dismal-looking corridor, which is so unenthusiastic and causes a lot of can be a serious cause for depression as well. So while on the left-hand side, it's beautifully arranged. There is an edge and there's a frontage zone for accessing the lockers as the children are doing it. And if you see the corridor spaces, the passage spaces has a dimensional clearance of 3 files to move alongside. You can very well see that the person on the wheelchair is flanked by students on his friends on either sides, and they're moving in 3 files. Staircases should never be designed in the manner that is shown on the right-hand side. It is not about wheelchair friendly, it's safety hazard to provide winders and staircases. Next one, please.
Ravi, could I request that we just run people through these slides, and then the pictures are pretty self-explanatory?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, fine. So these are interthreshold spaces. Curb ramps are provided in this for easy movement of wheelchair. Next one, please. These are ramp curbs. These are ramp curbs at the corners for moving for crossing the streets. Next one, please. Another set of sidewalk edge treatment, which is called a tabletop or a speed table arrangement. These are found at places, but at places they're missing. Next one, please. This is my favorite. This is an integrated ramp and a step that I've built on my projects. So it's like a shared space strategy where you don't have, where there's a dearth of shortage of space, and you just merge these two systems together to integrate them one with another. I like calling them vanishing steps because they just vanish into the ramp. This is my terminology. Next one, please. Thank you. Yeah, the vanishing steps apply to other places in public. Thank you so much for your patience. My apologies for taking more time.
Thank you so much. I think since we are running short on time, I would, without any, niceties and pleasantries, I invite Mr. Satish Kapoor to take over about his module, which he's going to talk about something very, very relevant, because he's talking about the kind of concessions, the kind of policies that are available to children or adults with special needs, especially those with physical disabilities. Over to you, Mr. Satish Kapoor.
Thank you very much. Respected organizers, participants, and Dr. Kanika, Raviji, Shweta, and Aarti, all the organizers, for giving me an opportunity to speak on this special occasion of IC3 festival. I would like to mention here that there are many schemes for persons with disabilities in India. And according to my understanding of the topic, creating a culture of empathetic counseling, I think we can give counseling to anybody when we are aware of or we have knowledge about the issues he or she is facing. He or she can be persons with disabilities. Also, it is not necessary that only a counselor or a psychologist can counsel. If we as we as an educator or a policymaker know the issues faced by persons with disabilities, we can give solutions to persons with disabilities so that they can lead a they can lead they can be educated and lead a dignified life. Ministry of Social Justice have many schemes, concessions, scholarship for persons with disabilities. Like, I will go very brief. Divyangjan Swavlamban Yojana, which provides the concessional benefits for persons with disabilities to provide better opportunities to improve their life and improve educational qualification and to improve their vocational and skills. Then Deen Dayal Disabled Rehabilitation Schemes, it helps the persons with disabilities to perform the tasks which help them in creating a better environment and also ensures that persons with disabilities get similar opportunities to empower themselves like all the other people. Assistance for Disabled Persons scheme help persons with disabilities to purchase latest and enhanced products that helps them to have a more fruitful life and improve their physical abilities. It also increases their social acceptance and thus improves their overall mental health. Accessible India campaign was launched by the Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities across the entire nation to provide persons with disability with universal accessibility. It covers build environment accessibility, transportation system accessibility, information and communication ecosystem accessibility. Ministry of Railway also provides concession to those persons having disability certificate from above 40%, and concession is 50 to 70% in various and important trains. Bus concessions are also being provided to all persons with disabilities having disability certificate. National Trust, who works for autism, cerebral palsy, mental retardation, and multiple disabilities, provide health insurance to persons with disabilities, Niramaya Health Insurance, in addition to other schemes. Disability pensions is also available those for those persons with disabilities having above 40% disability. Ministry also provides scholarship for education to children with disabilities and also children of disabled parents. In various categories, government also provide, it is very important to note that government to provide incentive award for marriages between disabled and non-disabled community. One time grant to buy artificial limbs like tricycle, crutches, artificial limbs, specs, hearing aids, etc. 4% of reservation is also available for employment for persons with disabilities in the government sector for persons with disabilities. Ministry of Finance provides tax deduction to persons with disabilities under Section 80U and 80DD. Legal guardians of dependent persons with disabilities are eligible for income tax deduction under Section 80DD for expenditures incurred on medical care, training, and rehabilitation expenses.
Satish, may I request you, since we have just another minute to go, we could invite questions. Yeah.
It will take 2 minutes, I will finish.
Shweta, is that allowed?
Because I have not, I think.
Yeah, I know.
Minutes.
There's so much of information that you have to share. I agree. Yeah.
So I will sum up with this. Whether it is that tax deduction, even if the persons with disability want to start self-employment, loan facilities there from 3 lakh to 20 lakhs rupees. So what I want to say in this, as I said earlier, if we want to create an empathetic if we want to give empathetic counseling, we should know all these schemes and provisions, scholarship, etc. Whether you are a teacher, educator, or a policymaker, so that if somebody require all these things, we can give solution to that. So, my submission to the organizers and to the participants is: can we have a capacity building program in which we can combine all these things which are available by the government or the non-government organizations, so that we can provide right information to the people who need it, so that we can work with the persons with disability.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Satish, for being such a mine of information. But then I know, as you said, this is just the tip that we have touched, and there's so much more that is available. It is just that we have to make it accessible to everybody around us.